Hi, everybody. Welcome today to the Hot Planet Repair Team weekly meeting on Thursday, June 1st. We're going to delve a little bit deeper about what's gone on the past few weeks, what's coming up ahead, a little bit more into fundraising and how you can get involved, but also why it's very critical to a lot of the work that we're going to be doing here at Hot Planet Repair Team and the work that you do throughout your lives, because fundraising has a lot of similar skills such as sales, listening, knowing your clients, your customers, the people you're dealing with, and how to provide solutions. Today, as we've said, going a little bit more into untrashing as well, upcoming events. For membership, Rich, would you mind quickly talking about what we've been experiencing recently with membership?
Yeah, there's still a lot going on with social media, but from our website, we're getting 4 to 5 inquiries a week. And I see we added some new members. We had 7 in the past month, 11 in April. Now we're up to 154 in total. We always want more because we need more help. We need help with the fundraising, like you mentioned, but we need to also provide more information and structure for volunteering and getting that information to our new members. We're all volunteer run and we're trying our best. We'd like to get more done in the time we have, but that's why we need more people to jump in and we can help them along. I know Alan mentioned maybe doing a sponsorship or a mentorship or guidance for signing existing members to help out with new members and what they want to do and get out of Hot Planet Repair.
Yeah, Alan, anything you'd like to say on membership or anyone else in the team? What we have coming ahead, potentially, we're considering what's the best ways to move forward with our community.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've been thinking about is senior members doing sponsorships for onboarding. How do people get involved with the Hot Planet Repair Team, and how do we get to the levels of interest? This is a big thing I've been working on the presentation, is how to be involved. You can help us figure out the problems and the solutions. You can help us announce what we're doing. You can call that a voice. You could also be a social media influencer. You could be part of the solution team. You can be a subject matter expert. These are the things I'm going down the rabbit hole in right now. And I think we'll start sponsoring it so that we really understand what the members want. And then we cater to that. And we also get a little more organized, because I think we're growing. So.
Thanks for running us through that. Absolutely, we are growing. We were just planted less than a year ago as a seed, and we've turned into a small plantling so far. We're growing. We need those nutrients if we get that fundraising going too as well. That's what we got to do here. We got to tell some stories in order to produce the best fundraising as well. What have we been doing? What is our vision? Where are we going? And why should people trust in us and the unique approach that we're delivering towards turning cash and resources into impact? Would you mind talking a little bit, Allison, about some of the marketing, content, storytelling conversations, activities, and strategies we've had going on recently?
Sure. Jake and I and Rich too were the sort of content people. Rich has been working really hard on updating the website, and we're going to just finalize that and get that out there. And then Jake and I have been talking about creating a sort of fundraising pitch package, some, videos, maybe some infographics, but really just to sort of give an idea of the projects that we're working on right now, the impact they'll have, so that people will have a concrete idea of the types of things we're trying to achieve. So it's not so nebulous, I guess. That's really kind of what we're trying to do, is sort of focus in on specific projects to give people a better idea of where we're going and what we're trying to achieve. As always, we would welcome articles, thoughts, any kind of content you want to help us with. If you want to join the team and give us some ideas on how we can create these packages, we'd be more than happy to welcome you on the team. It's largely Jake and I writing the articles. As Rich mentioned, we're all volunteers, and sometimes it's a little bit tough for us to get them out every week, but we're trying.
You guys are doing amazing. Amazing. Can I don't know how long we have, but I'll try to ramble off what I was just thinking there. Guys, about the events for Hprt, we have the Calgary Stampede coming in about a month, where we have millions of people showing up in our city from all over the world. In 10 days, we see millions of people. And I'm just wondering, I came from the bank 15 years where we were able to just use cards and go and spend their money on events, packages, from gifts to super stakes, spin to win, venues, booths, pamphlets, giveaways, gift packages, just spread the news, apparel. I was just thinking, with the reason, which is our planet, I live close to Banff, where there's a lot of tree huggers, lots of nature lovers, of course. So I just think of events. I was just thinking, how could we do this? How could we get loud and create noise here? We have lots of opportunity being close to Banff, as well as the Stampede coming up. Like I said, I'm used to being at the bank where they just say, Nancy, go, and we can go do whatever on their money, right? But yeah, 50-50 ticket, everything can help change what we're doing. It's very, very important to get loud and share what Hprt is doing and your common goals. It's just amazing. The group of people that are volunteering, I'm so passionate about it. In the bank, people said, you love your job. Well, let me tell you, if I could have been doing this for 15 years, I would have been way more passionate. I love what this all stands for. And I think there's great opportunity for events and things like that. Very interested in what you all have to say.
So Nancy, thank you very much. You just brought up a great point that, in your community where you live, in your city, that there's great opportunities for fundraising. And that's exactly what we want to be hearing. So like, we should be setting up a meeting and figuring out, how do we turn Calgary into a local hot ground for fundraising activities for Hot Planet Repair Team? So let's sit down. Let's have a little bit of a talk about the strategy we could create, because throughout this year, we've already had some discussions about how do we get our fundraising activities off the internet and onto the feet on the street kind of events, and the ways that you can really catch people's attention, speak with them, show them your passion, which you are great at, Nancy. So we would really appreciate to have you being that feet on the street in Calgary. So let's set up those meetings to figure out how we can do that together as a team. It's a perfect example and a great question. So thank you for contributing there. Anyone else have any other thoughts?
I'd like to say one thing. We had a meeting with the Collier County Commissioner this week. It was very productive. It was across all of our initiatives, and we're based here in Naples, Florida. So from the standpoint of our USDA grant that we submitted, I think all of it really painted a very clear picture to the leadership of Collier County of the direction that we have the opportunity to take this, and also use this as a bit of an example and demonstration for global planet repair. These community manager type of roles that we all have the potential to have or nurture. I encourage everybody to do that.
That's also a really good point. A lot of the work that we're doing and our goals and what we can deliver is shared with those same goals and missions of local community managers, whether they work with the government or civil society organizations. There's a lot of ways to help ourselves out there. We got a question from Kirk. Kirk, please.
I'm in Key West, and I'd like to know how best to get hold of the people. And is there a general hub for information access, if that's available? I know I'm kind of new here, but I'm trying to get the thing in Collier County. I've been trying to arrange some sustainable programs up that way that generate lots of revenue for communities to reinvest in their infrastructure on a sustainable resilience level. I guess what I'm asking, repairing comes in a very broad avenue, and funding, I keep hearing everybody asking about funding. So that's sort of one of the main factors I've been focusing on, is how to generate renewable resources from usually waste streams that can be converted. That's what I'd like to get onto, if at the appropriate time, with whomever's interested in generating that conversation. Thanks.
Well, Kirk,
Anyone from Collier County like to respond?
Let's get Tyler and Kirk connected together, because we're working on the commercial side in municipal solid waste, 100% diversion or recycling. We have a lot of different things going on over in our commercial businesses in that area. Hot Planet Repair Team, one of our companies, is donating a license for technologies so we can actually build a proving center here in Collier County. It is focused on how do we scale up projects. And I'd like to see the Hot Planet Repair Team. We just applied for a $40 million grant with the USDA to help build that proving center. The equipment that would be going into that proving center can handle all those different waste streams you're talking about, Kirk. So we should definitely compare notes.
Yeah, part of what I'm suggesting is you need to prove some technology. There's some that we already have available that's been proven, which we're trying to put into play in application. Is that you're talking pilot program, or actually just trying to figure out if they work? I'm hoping.
No, we only use proven technologies. One of our commercial businesses, we've got about 15 to 20 projects around the globe in the pipeline right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more. Yeah, you can't have enough of good tools.
Yep. And so that's a good example, an interaction that you will find within our community Hot Planet Repair Team. Most of us are people that are focused on scaling up solutions. That's why we're recruiting everyone in these regards, creating opportunities, connect, see if there's opportunities to work together, but also providing those bigger support systems and mechanisms is what we're doing at Hot Planet Repair Team. So this is our weekly meeting where we try to run through some updates. But Kirk, if you want to learn more about what our vision is as an organization, what we're doing and how we've been doing it, we have a lot of stuff available on our website and in previous meetings that are recorded up on YouTube. But we're going to jump back into things here for some updates, if you don't mind. So for fundraising, there are opportunities for anyone to get involved across campaigns, different activities, whether we're doing the strategic planning, the goals, the deadlines, the creation of the content for crowdfunding or different materials. Just Giving is what we're doing through crowdfunding. So we expect to be getting some of your emails and other communications on how to get more involved in spreading out those messages there. Like Fancy Nancy brought up before, we can set up different localized strategies for events or other ways of funding, whether it's making some cards with QR codes or different posters. That's what we can do there too. Tyler, do you want to mention our microloan, Kiva?
Sure. We've done 206 microloans across, I don't know how many countries, 30 or 40 countries at this point, for porting eco-friendly and agricultural initiatives at the micro level. It's been predominantly women, but there have been a few male microloans that I see in our stats. We've done over $5,000 in microloans. So we have a very high repayment rate. Kiva has done, I think, close to $2 billion in microloans around the world. And we created a sub team for Hot Planet Repair Team for everyone to feel free to join there and be your own international bank of good karma. It's not for profit. It's a rolling, once those funds are returned, then you can relend them and it ends up becoming a ball of goodwill. I've been involved with them for, I think, 15 years and have done hundreds, I think 600 microloans across 60 countries. I find it very powerful. I teach my son about it, who's 12, and want to give him an account so he can have his own international bank of good karma and allow him to know the value of doing good.
Thank you, Tyler, for bringing Kiva into Hot Planet Repair Team's giving. Many of us know that microloans are a really critical way to help drive systems change and give vulnerable people the tools they need to succeed. So we're going to keep running on over here to fundraising and best practices and paths. The fundraising, look at it like sales in some ways. What you're doing is you're selling ideas, people, places, things that can bring value to people's concerns, problems, challenges, you name it. So what you got to do is you got to know your donor, your constituent, or the connector that you're dealing with. You got to know what do they want, what are they looking for, and one of the best ways to do that is do your research beforehand, but also listen in the conversation, asking the right questions to gather that information. If you want to be a better saleswoman, you have to focus on that listening, the gathering of the information, figuring out what is it that they really need? How do you solve their problems? That's defining what's in it for you, what's in it for us, what's in it for them. Help identify that and then design your pitches around that, whether it's preparing beforehand or on the fly. Getting that right requires practice, and you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So get out there, start failing. That's how you can succeed in the way that you design and practice your pitches. Just to reiterate a few things, it's doing your research, knowing your customer, client, due diligence, listening, gathering information, asking the right questions. Just like any good conversationalist, that's what you find in good fundraising and sales. Storytelling is a big part of it too. And with any rhetoric, like the Greeks, defined 2,000 years ago, it's about pathos, ethos, and logos. So getting people's emotion, their ethics, and their reasoning, their logic behind the solution in the issue. Alan, I believe that you have a question.
Well, I just want to let you know that I'll sponsor a lunch with any possible donor or donor groups in Naples anytime and get down and press the flesh and talk about what we're doing and get people on board our mission. And Tyler and I have been doing these kinds of things in the business world. We might as well do the dog and pony show for the Hot Planet Repair Team. Anybody want to set up any lunches? Just let me know. I'll sponsor them.
I like that. Any takers? Going once, going twice. Oh, we got one there. All right. Well, the challenge is on people. You've heard it. We got to find ways to push each other to succeed too. We're a team. Like it's incentive that Alan threw out right there, or it's it's saying, hey, Jake, let's jump on a call. And that's what we got to figure out to see how we're going to succeed here with fundraising. Just a few last things. You got to entertain them too and make it somewhat comedic and keep their attention Tyler, I think you know how to entertain when you're selling pitches and especially things that can bring value to the world's issues, right? Can you give us a little your 2 cents around this?
Yeah, well, I've been raising funds for brilliant trade thesis for over 20 years. I try to make it relatable to them because a confused mind always says no. You have to find the areas that relate to them and also things that make it fun for them, and also open it just as a membership. People don't necessarily want to donate to something that they're not a member of. So just, we're opening our doors for them to be a member and participate and donate as a member, and open our arms to their membership, and then gain their trust, and then allow them to make their decision on how they'd like to participate. Some people have different ways of participation, whether it be time, whether it be money, or their resources and connections. Allow us to be open to all of those ways for people to participate and how they can be accretive to the mission. And then from the humor perspective, I want to make this a good time. We want to make it fun. From an event standpoint, I had a great conversation with some DJs over the weekend, and they were like, we would love to participate in any type of event. And they do some pretty amazing set design and things like that. They're very earth and consciousness focused. There's another way of making it fun as well. But ultimately, I try to bring in humor into a lot of the discussions that I have, and it lightens the mood.
Fun for humans has a limitless potential.
There we go.
I just wanted to add, this coming weekend is opening day, Greenwich Polo Club. So I'm going to seek to prepare to prevail upon the powers that be within that organization to see if we can get a table at least and get the name of Hprt out there, banners and whatnot. I'll have to circle back. The season goes through September. At least we can get a couple of weekends there to get the name out. It's a pretty solid group of people. A lot of them, from Greenwich and Wall Street, private equity, the basic demographic that you would expect. We'll fan out from there. But this would dovetail also into my institutional outreach. Different track, different process, different methodology. So just waiting to start testing the waters there. Template, some collateral materials, whatever it takes to provide a basis for an engaged conversation.
Go, John.
Yeah, John, thank you very much. Your contributions are always deeply appreciated here at Hotline Repair Team.
Thank you.
And what you found there is a great pool of potential wealth. If you look at that as water, money is like water. It'd be a conduit commitment and a currency of love. So get these polo people to help us out with their commitments to nourish our world and ourselves.
You can't have polo if you don't have a planet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whether it's a polo tournament, golf club, tennis. I'm going down here to the pitch in Amsterdam for some European football, not the American kind. Those ways. Thank you for chiming in there too, and you also bring another good point, which other people should be aware of, is there's many other different areas, ecosystems, and ways of fundraising that you can go. And John is really great at the financial world and investors. So he's going to take his activities that way. So figure out your niche, how you can fit in, and we appreciate it all. We get to know you to succeed. Thanks, John. And I'm just going to quickly run through this here. In fundraising, it's about the why. Like Tyler said, keep it simple. Don't make it too complex. People say no when they're confused. And so you're building a relationship too while you're sending out emails or having these conversations. Keep those relationships filled with trust, with empathy, good communication, just whether it's like the person you're dating or the person you're trying to get the donation from. It's all about relationships and healthy ones. So ask properly, ask the right questions, make it unique and specific to what they need. It's about keeping the care for those relationships, so that donor magic, that care there. Don't forget about that. Keep the soil fertile and things healthy. Gather the right information, keep track of things. That's what we're doing through our CRM system that is Blackbaud. So if you want to get more involved with that, please contact us. Back at the top of the circle here, it's storytelling. How do you tell those stories that can have those relationships be there? Can you tell them entertainingly enough? So the video that we were going to quickly show today is from Cornell West, who gives a great talk on, he'll say it himself. So this is related to fundraising. You can identify for your own reasons.
We live in a time where people are hungry for deeper democracy and equality, and I like to talk about the profound desire for justice, because I believe justice is what love looks like in public. And the profound desire for justice has to do with connecting, linking, and coalescing struggles, economic justice, racial justice, sexual justice, global justice. How do we bring people together, often locked in to their isolated issues in their own bubbles, and connect the I's and cross the T's and say we're not only in it together, but we can be in it together tied to a higher cause on moral and spiritual ground.
So as Cornell West was, just helping us understand there, is building communities and senses of belonging and faith is what we all need. What Cornell West was telling us there is that everyone needs a new sense of purpose and meaning and community that they can be part of. And that's where we're building a hot planet repair team. We want to achieve that justice through scaling up planet repair solutions, providing better economic opportunities, protecting vulnerable ecosystems and populations. That's what you're selling through this fundraising. You're selling the solutions that we're building, the systems we're going to change. Another good quote from Brother Cornell here is, empathy is not simply a matter of trying to imagine what others are going through, but having the will to muster enough courage to do something about it. In a way, empathy is predicated upon hope. We are about pragmatic optimism at a Hot Planet Repair team. What you're selling to those funders is to get them to be empathetic, not just sympathizing with the issue, but doing something about it. How are they going to provide a better future and home for their kids, their grandkids, or their neighbors? So it's about reconnecting, recreating, regenerating. The justice that we can achieve is done through reciprocity, relationships for repairing our shared home. It's about the impact and contributing more than your individual needs. The purpose that you can get from the community, the solutions, the impact with better living conditions, well-being, being a donor or getting people to donate, you can instill higher levels of appreciation for communities such as Hot Planet Repair Team, the solutions that are being proliferated and scaled up. For those of you that are looking at the screen, you can see we got a nice quote down here about that there. Would anybody here like to just randomly pick a quote and read it off from here? These are some famous quotes about fundraising. I'm going to go ahead and choose one right now with Mahatma Gandhi. And that's the best way to find yourself, is to lose yourself in the service of others. Does anyone else have one that they like here?
It's more rewarding to watch money change the world than to watch it accumulate.
Thank you, Nancy.
Volunteers do not necessarily have the time, they just have the heart.
Go. By giving our time, we're giving our heart and empathy and action towards what we need to do.
I'm looking at Hank Rosso. Fundraising is the gentle art of teaching the joy of giving.
There we go. It's about joy.
Joy of giving. That's it.
There we go, Woody Wood. Joy and beauty. What we're trying to spread here is more faith that we can scale up these solutions, that we can provide more joy and well-being by repairing our home. So let's get untrashed from this 200-year party. Anyone else have anything they like here?
St. Francis of Assisi for his giving that we received.
Absolutely. And now we got a new Pope Francis who's involved with the global climate movement called Our Planet, Our Future, which hopefully we'll be partnering with Hot Planet Repair Team at some point, because there's a lot of people that need that economic justice and the sustainability restored back to our planet. Anyone else have one before we move on?
I have a special guest. We want you guys to read this one, okay? Read it. Read it. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. By Helen Keller.
Thank you very much.
Say bye.
Perfectly said. Thank you. Well, would anybody like to quickly jump into what is untrashing and how that can take place in the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, and the lithosphere? Because we want to help define some terms on a weekly basis here to make sure our terminology and vernacular is popular. Alan, how do we untrash the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, and the atmosphere?
I think the big issue is all about the circularity and taking the stuff that we just treat as unvaluable and putting it right back into the front end of the manufacturing and supply chain cycle, which means you've got to wean people off things like mining and petroleum because those are free resources. Now, some of those resources we have to do because we have a growing population and there are certain things you can't get without having them. But I would say that 90% of the material that we're seeing put into the ocean, atmosphere, wherever, that can all be recycled. 50-60% of everything on the planet is carbon. So it can be turned right back into everything we see, including nature. And nature is really good at converting carbon. That's my thoughts on it.
Thank you. I'd like to also add another word into our books. That's biomimicry, replicating the natural processes of Mother Nature and what she's done over the past to help us do what we need to do to untrash our 200-year party. Anyone else have any other terms they want to toss around today?
Retraining yourself, because I think right now We're very focused on accumulating things. And we don't really think about where those things go when we're maybe done with them. And a lot of things are made so that you're done with them quickly. There's sort of a really big focus, I think, particularly in the Western Hemisphere, on consumerism without a lot of thought as to where what we consume goes when we're done with it. When you look at the sort of that big circle, I think it's retraining people to think about whether they need things, what happens to it, how long is its useful life, how is it made, and where does it go when I'm done with it? Because there's a lot of things that end up in the landfill. As we know, more things than we'd like to believe. So I think people can be trained to think differently and to change the way they view the world. And I think that's probably a good way to start.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Allison.
There's-
Kurt, would you like to add anything?
I was trying to absorb a lot of what everybody was saying, including the quotes and stuff. Ideally, I guess, making people aware that they have the ability to be the change thing, giving them the platform that lets people in their community level or grassroots or boots on the ground areas that we keep tossing those analogies around. Basically, people don't believe that they have an impact of their own at the individual level. Trying to change that paradigm seems a very important factor to engage with.
Yeah, thanks, Kirk. We were mentioning circularity, and there's a report that comes out every year. It's the circularity gap, which the percentage of the total global economy is circular. It's 8.6%. We have a massive gap. That's also the biggest opportunity in the history of mankind to close. Our survival depends upon it. The size of the opportunity and the solution has to equal the size of the problem. We're talking about trillions of dollars in CapEx over the next 10 years to retool the global supply chains into a more circular design from the things that everything is made from. We've got 2 billion tons of municipal solid waste that we create every year, plus all the legacy waste. We've got 50 billion tons of atmospheric carbon being released into the atmosphere every year, plus the legacy waste that we've put up there over the last 200 years. We've got some serious cleaning up to do.
We have the money to do it. We just make it. It's just pretend to begin with.
Yeah, and we need to invest in more tangible things that bring value to our world and its problems today. I remember we were discussing, creating more circular economies, whether it's at the local level or the regional level, or even, globally. One framework that's been useful for a lot of people to understand, what are the systems changes that we need is that our economics, our economy is within all the limits of our biosphere. How we govern that sphere is dependent upon how we have our relationships with our communities and the rest of the world, our own personal lives. It all ties in together with the different spheres of life, whether it's public sector, private sector, civil society. It's all dependent on the biosphere. I did not explain it as well as other organizations, but we pulled this up last minute. Thought that would be helpful. We got a question here from Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. Tyler, I sent you an email just before the meeting. A brief TED Talk by Al Gore. I had forgotten how passionate he is about the climate, the Mother Earth, et cetera, et cetera. I did find that the climaterealityproject.org might be a good thing just to kind of poke around, follow, connect with a few people. I haven't really looked into it too much, but it looks like there's chapters across the country. Seems like a great organization.
Yeah, Steve, thank you. I know somebody used to scale up renewable energy with Al Gore in the 2000s. They've created some of the best leaders around advocacy for climate. So that's a great recommendation for anyone who wants to get specific training around advocacy. That's one thing that Hotline Repair Team that we want to do efficiently is be able to guide people into the volunteer positions or careers that they want. As Rich and others are doing a great job at expanding our website, we'll try to include ways that you can, say, improve your advocacy, or whether if you want to get more technical skills in untrashing, or maybe you want to get more into fundraising, we'll help try and provide those pathways for people. That's a great thing you brought up, because that recent speech by Al Gore was powerful. He's even gotten more powerful, and he's not holding back. With upcoming events, we have the social, which will be every other Thursday. So next week, I think we are going to be planning later this year to be hosting some events that are planned more out in the future, maybe like some webinars or workshops, but we've just been pretty busy from our end in recent months. So please excuse us for not having done that already. Does anyone else on the team have anything that they'd like to mention about events or ways we're developing community?
Remember, I'll sponsor a lunch in Naples.
There you go. Let's get those local fundraising activities going. Last diagram to show you here is just about what is the change that we need. We don't want to be living in linear economies. We got to have the circular regenerative ones, which require less energy, or if they are using energy, they're using renewable forms of it. We have to break through our conventional practices, which really fragment our ecosystems and economies and cultures into ways that are more integrative of Mother Nature and how it can restore and regenerate all of our systems. So I thought this would be helpful for some people to maybe get a better understanding of what are the changes that we need as we untrash. Thank you everyone for your time. Hope you have a wonderful week and see you next time.
Great weekend, guys.